Welcome, everyone, to the Outtakes Movie Podcast. I'm Sam, and we're still going through our quest to go through every single movie ever made and objectively rank them best to worst. I'm joined, as always, by my amazing team. Amelia, how's things?
Hello.
Joe, what's going on, man?
Yeah, it's alright. How's it going with you, Sam? You okay?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Jacob, what's up?
I'm still here.
Hey, and this week we're going all the way back to 2007 for I Am Legend. So let me tell you all about what's going on. It's December 14th, 2007. There's snow in the air. Not here, not in England, because we get fuck all. But somewhere there is snow. As usual, I'm not going to go through the news because it's all bollocks and rubbish. I'm going to go straight into the pop charts. Who do we reckon was chopping those tarts in 2007? Did it on purpose this week.
Straight up.
It was big in 2007.
It's a very 2007 answer, this one. I guarantee you.
JLS.
It's a her, and I guarantee you've forgotten all about her. Although JLS is along the right lines, I think.
I was going to say Lady Gaga, but I know who that is.
No,
Not
Leona
woman,
Lewis, Amelia. Yes,
Ooh.
yes.
That's
Bleeding
not who I was
Love.
going to say.
Bleeding Love is number one.
Oh, man, I've not heard that song since like 2007. My God.
It like dominated the year and then
My
disappeared.
God. That's like year 6 fucking disco, that song. My God. Beautiful
Classic.
times.
So I was wondering, it's Christmas time. I wonder where the first Christmas song is coming in, and it's number 8, and it's our girl Mariah. Of course it is.
Cool. What else would it be?
Exactly.
In other pop culture, not much is going on. Honestly, it's December. It's quiet. So as far as games, this week there was basically nothing. But the Orange Box did come out, which meant the world was
what a
greeted
game.
to. Yeah, the world
That
was
was
greeted
well, I
to.
love that.
So the you do know it, Jacob, even if you don't know the referred collective that is the Orange Box. It was this compilation of games released by Valve. So you buy for the price of one game, you would get Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and 2, Team Fortress 2, and Portal would all release.
Yeah, didn't they make Portal for the Orange Box as well?
Yes,
They needed to add something else.
Yeah, it was to make
And it was
it
so
more
popular
value.
that they ended up making Portal 2.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Interesting.
What a game.
Great fucking
Good
game,
stuff.
Portal. And I, personally, and I think some of us would have been very, very excited for like a week's time when David Tennant would start hanging out with Kylie Minogue and go to the Titanic in space.
Whoa.
That was this year.
My God.
That was years ago.
Yeah, wasn't
What
it?
episode?
Wasn't it? What a flashback. They had the Doctor portray a Messiah figure with angels on Christmas Day.
Amazing.
Oh, I missed
Oh, man.
But that was what's going on in the rest of pop culture. But we are here to talk about I Am Legend. Joe, tell us all about this movie.
Oh, I mean, you say we're here to talk about I Am Legend, but I'm gonna talk a lot about the book as well, which is still I Am Legend, but not the version. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, so obviously I Am Legend came out 2007, starring our boy Will Smith, the Fresh Prince himself, in the lead role. It's directed by Francis Lawrence, who also directed Hunger Games: Catching Fire, as well as both parts of The Mockingjay as well. And he directed Red Sparrow in 2018. And then, I don't know if... Does anyone remember Constantine from 2005 with Keanu Reeves in it?
No, really?
He directed that as well, yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, so-
What happened then? I assume he just looked out and met an incredibly talented DOP, because what the fuck happened between Constantine and this to get so much talent, and then immediately after this to lose it?
Yeah,
What
it's
the
weird,
fuck?
isn't it? I've got like a history to this film, which may actually, a lot of this film was thanks to Will Smith, because they were going to make this film in 2002 with another director, and I'll get to that. But I think Will Smith was a big thing as part of this film. Like he, I don't know if he was one of the things. I think it was more he wanted to get it made, and they hired Francis Lawrence to come onto it.
Right.
Because he didn't write it. Who knows? 2007, and it's over 10 years ago. So, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so, right, budget. How much does everyone reckon they spent on this film?
That's
I mean,
tough.
Special effects
Location
in it.
Yeah.
Some of it's alright. Like the helicopter crashes and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Some
I'll
of
give you
it
that.
is not alright. Some of it's a bit garbage.
It is.
bit.
I'll give you that.
That's
CGI is a bit iffy in points.
Because that's it. Is location-wise, to do what they did and film where they filmed.
They filmed the whole thing in New York.
A lot of
which
money.
is insane. Yeah. They had to close the streets down on Sundays, and apparently Will Smith, people were fucking flipping Will Smith off in the street because he was getting the streets closed on Sundays. So you'd just be walking around, people doing that. Be insane. But yeah.
100 million.
Yeah, I want to say like 170 maybe.
Go on, Amelia, what do you reckon?
I'm shit at doing the budgets. 150.
Amelia
150
is
mil.
spot on.
Nice.
150
Clearly
million.
you're not shit at doing the budget, are you?
That's estimated, but yeah, spot on. And what do you reckon it grossed overall in the USA? Just the USA.
Okay. I don't think this was massive.
Did have Will Smith in it.
Yeah, because Will Smith helped a lot. Do you know what I remember a lot of kids making out that they'd watched this movie when I was young. A lot of my peers. And they were all fucking liars. And you know how I know they were all fucking liars, right? Because I watched this movie for the first time ever for this show. And I went into it expecting Will Smith to kill the dog with a grenade. Okay?
I mean, those elements are in it.
Because that's what all of my class had agreed with each other, synchronized lying, had happened.
That's an impressive lie to sync up on.
Wow.
Because that's it. Is one kid had clearly learnt about the dog death, right? So mentioned it as a way to prove that they'd seen it. Okay. Then they panicked when they were asked, "How does it die?" You know,
a grenade.
A grenade. So everyone else that was pretending to have watched it had to go, "Oh yeah."
Kill his dog with a grenade.
Kill dog with a grenade.
Playing fetch with a grenade rather than tennis ball.
So it was at least popular enough to pick up that kind of steam. Where everyone in the other 15 kids in my primary were lying about seeing it. Okay.
See, I was gonna say, right, at least that was the case. I thought they'd all just agreed to tell you
that's
that the dog had died, because that doesn't sound like lying. That sounds like bullying to me, honestly. So at least you weren't being bullied, Sam. That's fine. It was a mass thing. It's fine.
I maybe reckon it tipped over by 100 mil, so like 250 million. I reckon it profited, but not massive.
300 mil would have been
I was going to say 320, so maybe I was giving a bit too high.
So Sam is the closest. 356 mil in the USA.
So you said 356?
Wait, what did you say, Sam?
250.
Yeah, 256, yeah. So we did 256 mil in the USA. I don't know what it did overall. Oh, no, I did. I didn't get the actual number, but it's like 500 million in the entire, worldwide.
Not bad.
By the end of its cinema run. So, yeah,
that's
it's pretty
right.
good. Considerable profit, you know what I mean? Yeah.
More money than I've got.
So, yeah, same. I wouldn't mind having a cool 500 mil, you know what I mean? He had a crazy life. But yeah, so obviously this film is based on a book of the same name, and this is actually the third adaptation of the book out of the entire. So the book came out in 1954.
Oh wow!
And so the first adaptation was a film called The Last Man on Earth in 1964 with Vincent Price playing Robert Morgan, not Robert Neville. And it was filmed in Italy, even though it was meant to be set in LA, which is really weird. And everyone apart from Vincent Price is obviously speaking in Italian. It's really weird, yeah, it's strange. Wow. So he's speaking English, so all his stuff matches his lips, but everyone else has been dubbed over. It's really strange. It's not that great, to be honest. It's the closest, faithful adaptation there is, though. And it's still not that great. It's weird. And then the next one, it's from 1971, called The Omega Man, with Charlton Heston playing Robert Neville.
Oh, yes.
Which is a good... Yeah. I don't mind that one, actually. It's pretty good. It's not... Yeah, it's alright, yeah. It leans into a lot of more elements of the book and then takes them away. It's a whole thing. And then, obviously, this one as well. So, the book... obviously... you guys know, but I'll say for the thingy, this is like my favourite book that I've ever read, ever. I've read it God knows how many times, and I was able to recite what happens in the book without even looking in it. And I'll show you how much I've read it. Look at the bloody condition of this thing. It's bloody falling apart. I've read it that much. It's ridiculous.
Damn, son.
Yeah.
How many times do you reckon you've read that book?
Probably 8 or 9 times.
See, I don't think I've read that many books.
No, it's the only book that I've ever read more than once. Like, genuinely. I've read other books at least once, but that's the only one I've ever read more than once. I've read comics more than once, but yeah. But to be fair, it's not that long of a book. How many pages is it? 156. No, hold on.
Oh yeah, that's nothing.
That's not
106. Yeah, 160 pages the book. So it's not that long. But yeah, so I was gonna originally do what I was gonna do with what I did The Shining, where I'd talk about the film and then talk about the book. But gee, oh my god, it's too different. It's way too different. So the only things that I Am Legend 2007 and I Am Legend 1954 share are the name of the character, the appearance of a dog, research into the cure, creatures that only can come out at night, and they both die at the end. That's it. There are no other similarities in the book at all, other than those things. And even...
To be fair, if I was to sum up I Am Legend the movie, I would have just said those things.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I
this
can't
is the
imagine
thing.
back in like the 50s, they would have been playing golf off the back of a Blackbird.
Well, no.
Or driving through the streets of New York
So
in a
this-
Mustang. Or...
Yeah. It's the thing with it is all those things are similar, but a lot of them are very different. So he dies in a much different way in the book, and the dog is a much bigger, much different character.
I'm going to stop you.
Okay.
He doesn't die
In what?
in the movie.
2 endings.
He does?
There's 2 endings.
Wait, which ending did you
There
see?
are 2 endings.
Okay.
Wait, what happened at the end of
so-
yours?
I wasn't sure if people knew this or not.
Tell you
Whoa.
what, just take us through the movie, Joe, whenever you're ready.
Okay.
And
Oh my
and
days.
I'll
Have you
jump
seen
in
the
with my
alternate-
ending.
That's so weird. I mean, I've got the thing about the alternate ending where he doesn't die. That's so weird. All right, anyway. Yeah. So what I'll do a brief over thing of the book so we can see how different it is. Because man, I love this book. So for starters, it's because the book came out in 1954. It's actually set in the late 70s. So it starts in January of 1976 and it ends in January of 1979. And it's split into 4 parts, and it's set in LA, not New York. Yeah, and it's really mad as well because his house and the street that he lives on is a real street, and you can find his house on Google Maps. Someone lives in his house in real life. It's insane. But I can't imagine that person knows that they do. But yeah, so similar situation. Man can't go out at night. There are creatures who come out at night and kill him. The difference is, in the book, they're actually vampires. Like, full-on, drink blood, hate garlic vampires.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think this one works better.
That's goofy.
Yeah, it's weird. And, there's a lot of them can talk, and most of them are conscious. It's not like in the film where, he has to hide his house. Like, in the book, they know where he lives, and he, covers his house in garlic and crosses to stop them from coming in.
Wow.
So,
And they just
am
crowd
I
outside.
to assume that the twist in the movie, there's nothing like that in the book? Because that wouldn't make sense anymore.
Which twist in the movie?
The idea that
He's nicked the guy's wife.
he thinks he's treating
Oh,
him.
yeah, no.
But
That's
yeah.
not.
No.
Yeah, no, that's not in the book at all. So no, the whole thing of it is, they all crowd outside his house and scream at him to come out all night, and genuinely,
Come on,
there's
and
at
play!
one point, literally, one of the characters literally just spends the entire book shouting, "Come out, Neville." That's it. That's all of
All I can
it.
imagine is a dude just being like, ah!
Yeah, literally. No, there's a bit where the female vampires expose themselves to entice him to come out.
The 50s, man.
Yeah, and it's
This is your favourite book then, is it, Joe?
Yeah, I know.
No wonder it's his favourite book. Wow.
No, there's bits of it where he has to force himself not to think about the tits. It's really weird. he's like looking out, and he's like, no, it's disgusting. Don't think about it. And it's like, oh my god, it's so weird.
Vampire titties.
So the difference is, and I quite like this as a concept. In the film, I mean, the vampires are like the vampire zombie things are like an actual threat.
Yeah.
So like they're gonna actually rip him apart whenever he has to hide his house. Whereas in the book, they're more of an annoyance to him. Like he just sits in his house like fuming about the fact that all he can hear are these vampires outside, and he's like, just fucking shut up for 2 minutes. And like he's an alcoholic and he's depressed. He's like, fucking hell, this is just annoying. And like he just goes out at times and shouts at him, and then goes back in his house.
It's like an old man, like, get off my lawn.
It's so literally that's what it is. It's I'm making the book sound like it's ridiculous, but it's so much. I love it so much. So the book itself starts a few months after the virus is started, and now he's the only one left. Similar kind of thing. He does like his daily routine of like replacing mirrors and stuff like that, and he gets some garlic and sticks on his house and gets some crosses and shit. And he does this every day, and then literally he does that every day, comes home, listens to the vampires scream, and then repeats the next day. And then just drinks. And
why doesn't he move?
Because there is that does come up. There's a bit where he says, "Why don't I just move to like a fancy penthouse?" And then he's like, "But this is my house. I shouldn't be forced to move because this is my property."
He really is an old man.
No, literally, yeah. It's ridiculous.
Could he at least like extend the perimeter of garlic and crosses further and further out?
You know what he does? He burns down his neighbours' houses so they can't jump across onto his own roof. It's this whole thing. And in the book, the character in the film, that's his main kind of enemy, the one whose girlfriend he steals. Like, in the book, that's a character called Ben Cortman, who's actually his neighbour and friend, who when he becomes a vampire becomes obsessed with him, and then he becomes obsessed with killing Ben. It's a whole thing. He gets well pissed off at him. But yeah, anyway, so the first part of the story is, he's all depressed one day, he wakes up with a particularly bad hangover, and gets all annoyed, and drives to his wife's grave, falls asleep on the grave, but because he was annoyed, he left his door open, it's a whole big thing, the vampires get into his house, destroy his shit, and he's all depressed, and like, then it skips 2 months, and he's basically decided he's going to try and find a cure, because in the book, he's not a doctor, he's just a random guy, and there is a big, huge section of the book, which is him teaching himself all the stuff, just teaching himself virus stuff, and him being annoyed when he doesn't get it. But the way the book does it is it takes direct quotes from like science books and puts them in, that with lots of big words, lots of random crap that makes no sense. So you're reading through it, and if you don't know this stuff, you're like, what the fuck have I just read? So like you're reacting the same way he is. It's a whole thing. He does it for a few months, and then eventually he does find the cure, or finds a cure, or at least finds out how to prevent it, but realises that because everyone's already vampires, there's nothing he can do, and that he's just fucked. Yeah,
to be fair,
there's no cure.
I think I do prefer that slightly, because just how talented he is in the movie kind of bugged me a little bit.
Yeah,
he's this army colonel, and he's a doctor, and he just happened to be the last guy to survive. And like, man, I don't know. Like, do you know what bugged me? It's when they were playing the golf on top of the Blackbird, which was sick, right?
Yeah.
My instant thought was, why doesn't he fly away? He can do all sorts of stuff. I'm sure he could pick up flying in about 5. Give him 15 minutes, he'll be right. Give him another 15, he can land it as well. You know what? He can do everything.
He's got all the time in the world to do it. To be fair,
and do you know what? If he can't fly, right? If he can't land, he's a smart man. He'll pack a parachute and he'll just jump out, and no one's gonna be pissed that he's crashed a Blackbird into like a building or something. Because who cares? There's no one about. He could just fly away.
Fair.
The only thing that I was thinking is that maybe he's a by-the-book sort of guy, and he thinks, well, do you know what? I could learn to do it, but I can't actually get my license. So Not
What a knobhead.
not gonna do it.
Where would he fly to?
Away.
Away from where? To where,
Away.
though? I mean, fair enough, I suppose. But, like, that's the thing. In the book, he works in, like, a factory. And that's it. He's just a factory worker. He's like, I'm not... The reason he's the last man alive is, he theorises, is because when he was at war, because there was a war in the 60s, in the universe of the book, as well as obviously in real life, it was pre-predicted it. I don't think it was Vietnam. I don't know where it was. Essentially, the way this virus in the book starts is, there's a war in the 60s, someone drops a bomb on another thing, and which starts, like, dust storms all over the world, and that's what spreads the virus, because it gets into people's pores and shit. That's how it's a whole thing. But the reason he doesn't get infected in the book is because a vampire bat bit him when he was at war. And that's the reason. He's now immune to becoming a vampire because of that. That's what he theorises is the
so
cure.
Dumb.
This whole book is a thing.
No, right. No, right. If you read it, it doesn't. There's a whole other thing. Like, the book, it focuses on the fact that he's so lonely and he's doing random shit. That's the whole thing of it. You'd have to read it. I can't make it. Anyway, he figures out there's nothing he can do. Yeah. Figures out there's nothing he can do. He becomes depressed again, gets back on the alcohol. Like, I'm talking, like, full bottles of whiskey at night or whatever. He's, like, mad for it, you know what I mean? He's going absolutely piased.
Mad.
And then enter the dog. He's at the bottom of these things, and the dog shows up. So the dog in the book is very different to Sam in the film. Not you, Sam. Sam the dog. So the dog has no name, and instead of him just kind of like finding it and taking it in, he spends weeks trying to earn its trust by like leaving food outside and sitting closer and closer to it every week until it gets to a point where he can like stroke the dog's head without it like running away. And then one day the dog doesn't show up, and then when it doesn't show up for another few more days, and then when it finally does show up, it's all like injured and it's dying and shit. So like he like grabs the dog and like yeets it into his bedroom while he thinks of ways to cure it. And then so he eventually goes and gets food. He wraps it like in a blanket and like cuddles it. And I'm actually going to read you the passage.
Oh no, don't! Because just
book.
Thinking about this has made me want to cry.
Reading the passage.
Yeah,
this isn't the Bible, Joe.
It is the Bible. This is my Bible right here. No, so imagine like he's got the dog. He's got it like the dog's like dying essentially. He doesn't know it's dying, but it's
Isn't
all
it like
injured.
a small,
and it's all
white, fluffy dog.
It's not like a big
dog
thingy
looks
as
like
well.
that. So all I'm going to think
It's like
about
a
when
small-
I see the dog when I next see it, I'm
Yeah.
like,
Right. So this is how the dog is taken out of the story in the book. Okay.
Very gently.
So-
put.
kicks the bucket, right? Yeah. Come on.
Okay. So, right. This is the thing. He smiled down at the dog, his throat moving. "You'll be better soon," he whispered. "Real soon." The dog looked up at him with its dulled, sick eyes, and then its tongue faltered out and licked roughly and moistly across the palm of Neville's hand. Something broke in Neville's throat. He sat there silently while tears ran slowly down his cheeks. In a week, the dog was dead. And that's it. And that's it. It moves on. That's the end of the chapter. It just mentions he buried the dog, mentions that burying the dog wasn't as hard as he thought it was going to be, and that's it. It skips 2 years.
In a week, the dog was dead.
And that was it.
Fucking hell.
That's it. Like, you
He's
read
ready
that.
to die there and then, like in his arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no. Just, oh yeah, I've had this really nice moment with this dog. Oh, I've still got another week of it, and then it dies.
In a week, the dog.
You've just, having read that as well, you've just spent like 3 or 4 chapters reading about how he's trying to get this dog's trust, and then it just dies. Off, I would say off screen, but it's a book. So, off page. Yeah, but it just skips. The next chapter just skips a week after it's fucking mad. But yeah, anyway, it skips 2 years, and this guy's got a big mad beard, and he's just chilling. His life is pretty chill. He's like, the vampires have like eased off his house, and only a few of them still linger around. It suggests that maybe they died or just lost it, yeah. And like the one that shouts come out Neville, he's still chilling outside screaming every night, you know what I mean? And then one day he sees this woman in the distance. This woman walks across this field. What?
Flashing her tits?
Oh no, she wasn't. No.
Oh, okay.
No,
wow.
but it's weird actually, right? Because what happens is he sees this woman crossing a field, and she's in the daylight. So he's like, "Oh fuck, it's a person," and he like runs over and like grabs her. And like when she tries to fight it, it like rips her dress.
Stranger danger.
not in like a revealing way. Like he sees a bit of a bra and he's like, "Oh man, I've not seen one of those in like 2 years."
I'm gonna call it now. Who's the author of this book?
Richard Matheson.
Richard Matheson wanted Jimmy Stewart to play Robert Neville in the movie adaptation.
Guarantee
you. I can see it. You know what, though? The way he's described in the book.
I did not mean to take your bra off like that. Oh, boy, I'm real sorry about that, man. You can imagine it.
I can see it. Like, legit, the way the character's described, it's just, yeah, Jimmy Stewart. Full on. But yeah, he does that. Eventually, they do actually end up falling in love. So, you know, over the course of 2 days...
Brilliant.
Even though she just told him that her husband has just been killed by vampires, and that's why she's moving, whatever. And then stuff happens, and it turns out she's actually from a colony of vampires that have ran out of food, so they've started to do other stuff, but Neville's like their enemy or something. So they've developed a pill that lets them go out in the day, and they've sent this woman into his house to find out what weapons he has. But she falls in love with him, so she warns him, and then leaves to stop her fellow vampire colonists from coming and kidnapping him. So then it skips another few months again, and he's still in his house when all the vampires rock up in the mad jeeps and like raid his house.
In the jeep?
And like he shoot, yeah, full on. They're like full on people again for some reason, and they kidnap it. He shoots one of them accidentally, but not really. And so they take him and they shoot him, and he wakes up in like a prison cell, and he looks out the window as all these fucking vampires just chilling. And the woman comes in and tells him that they plan on hanging him in front of everyone because he's like an enemy to their society. And essentially what happens is he realizes that he's now the monster of this new world, and because he's human. So she gives him a pill and he ODs, and the book ends. And his
Can I guess what the final line was?
Was it? And you'll guess it right.
In a week, Neville was dead.
Oh no! Oh no! See, the final line is "I am Legend," which makes no sense because the book's not told from it's told like third person about Neville, so it just randomly goes "I am Legend" at the end. But it's the idea that his legend is that he was like the bloody boogeyman or something to these
John Wick
vampires.
But he didn't do anything. He just stayed in his house and got yelled at.
No, but this is the thing.
That's not what the boogeyman does. I don't go to the boogeyman's gaff and harass him, do it? Like, that's not how it works.
This is the thing. I forgot to tell you something about it at the beginning. So essentially, the only other thing he does during the day is he goes from house to house, killing vampires with stakes.
Right. Okay.
Not stakes,
That's a pretty important part that you left out.
Yeah. I forgot that. It was like So that's what he does during the day as well.
So he's a murderer, essentially.
Yeah, so that's the reason they want to kill him, is because he's been killing all of the people, and they don't like him because he kills them, essentially. He comes in their house and murders them while they're asleep, essentially, in their minds. Scary. So he's the bad guy, yeah.
Okay.
How did you forget to include that?
I forgot, I don't know. I skipped over it on my notes.
Okay, maybe the actual writing here is incredible and we're just not seeing it. But I'm going to go ahead and say that I think that every change made for this movie was for the better.
Yes, same.
The thing with it is, when you read it in the book, it's good, but I don't think you could make like a perfect adaptation of this book at all.
No.
It wouldn't translate well. You could make a much more faithful adaptation, but you wouldn't. It leans heavily into the vampire thing. One of the things I find quite interesting about it, though, is the way he approaches vampires. So they are vampires, but also not really. So what he figures out while he's figuring out the cure is that the reason they're vampires and the reason they're scared of garlic and they don't like the reflection and things like that is because as the virus started, it was reported as people turning into vampires.
Yeah.
So it's like mass hysteria, and what the virus does is it's like a bacteria that really needs fresh blood to survive. So it gets the host to find fresh blood, and because of that, the media was like, "Oh, they're turning into vampires." But then the bacteria also turns the person mad. So as they were turning mad from the virus, they were seeing all this news reports about turning to vampires.
They decided that they were going to turn into vampires.
They've decided, in their mind, has been like, oh my god, I'm a vampire. And vampires are scared of garlic, so I'm scared of garlic. But the garlic doesn't actually do anything to them. They're just afraid of it. And that's what he realises. And then he laughs at them for being crazy. He's like, ha ha ha, you're crazy, you think you're vampires. And he's just sat in his house. Right, you know what it is? You know that picture from The Office with Jim peering through the blinds and smiling? That's what he does. He's got like a peephole in his window, and he's just sat there with a glass of whiskey looking at him, smiling because he realises they're all just fucking mad. That's what he does. It's ridiculous. But yeah, there you go, that's the book. But yeah, so the book, that was the book. I mean, right, the thing I liked about this book so much is, I read it when I was in high school, and I think that at first the reason I liked it so much is because it was so different. And as someone who wanted to make movies, I was like, potential. That's just... So the thing I like about this is, this book, an adaptation of the first, part, I, wrote it when I was in, high school, and it's the first ever, script I'd fully completed. It was absolute trash, and I would never let anyone read it, but it's the first one I did from beginning to end, and that's why it's kind of nostalgic.
Hey, do you know what? That reminds me of, I think, I cannot believe I did this looking back. I think one of the first scripts potentially I ever wrote, and I can't remember what happened in it. I know it was bad though. I would have written a script for a fan Sonic episode.
Whoa.
A Sonic thing. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I used to really like Sonic X, so I wanted to write an episode of that show. So I wrote a little script of what was going on. And Jacob, you looking at me like that, I would have been about 8, right? I would have been young. And I thought I was really clever because what I did is when a character was talking, I made the text the same colour they were. So Sonic's dialogue was in blue.
You should do that in books, to be honest.
Oh man, that should be thingy that, in Star Wars, do it lightsaber colours, bloody Kylo Ren's dialogue's red. Oh man. There you go.
And then just the word ow in
industry
blue.
Standard. There you go. We'll make it industry standard, Sam. It's all good. Let's do it. But yeah, that's the reason I like the book so much, because I did that. I couldn't find that. I don't even know where that is. That's gone. But I'm reading it. It's probably trash, but who knows. But yeah, so the actual film. Let's get onto the film that we're here to discuss. So, I Am Legend 2007. Like I said before, this was actually going to be made in 2002. Again, with Will Smith in the leading role. But it was actually originally going to be directed by Sam's favourite director, Michael Bay.
No. Is that why this movie's so orange? It was that leftover stuff.
Maybe.
It could have been Michael Bay.
Do you know what? I did make me laugh. So the opening of this movie, I really like it. I think it's really good. And I personally, I'm a fucking weirdo, right? So I could have done with about literally 5 full minutes of just empty New York. I could have done with ages of it, right? But what makes me laugh is by the time you see Neville, the first thing you see is a big expensive fucking sports car, and you zoom in and you don't see him first, you see a machine gun. Just to let all the dude bros know, don't worry, this is an exciting movie.
Yeah, it's fair enough. See, the thing with this originally they were going to make it 2002, but apparently they decided to make Bad Boys 2 instead. That's why they didn't make it. But Will Smith really loved the idea of making the story, so that's where he then fought to have it made.
So I hate that Bad Boys 2 exists, but if that movie exists as a blockade to Michael Bay making an I Am Legend adaptation, I will take that. Yeah, I will take it.
I reckon you just hate that a Michael Bay movie exists.
Yes, I do. Yeah, if he could go away and take his entire film library with him wherever he goes, just away, like I suggested earlier, that would be amazing. Very appreciative of that.
Just kick him off the thing, Planet Hulk style.
Yeah. Was the casting of Will Smith at all controversial? Because the thing that's...
You know what, I don't know. I don't think so.
Will Smith now, it's hard to... Like when you see him pick up any role, you don't bat an eye, because it's Will Smith, he's a global megastar, whatever. But 2007, and particularly 2002, was not that far disconnected from Fresh Prince, you know? And I can imagine him getting backlash the same way The Rock used to get backlash, and the same way that John Cena's getting backlash now, just for appearing in movies in general.
Maybe if... See, I don't know, you know, because he was in, like, Independence Day and shit, and that was, like, 90...
Very true.
90-something. And then you got Bad Boys. Yeah, so I reckon, by this point, he would have maybe not been the absolute ultra, like, megastar, whatever that he is now, but he would have been pretty... He would have been, like, A-list celebrity still, in 2007. Because it was still... I remember this coming out and being, it's Will Smith playing in the thing. You know what I mean? I remember it being big because it was Will Smith. So, I imagine... Yeah, I reckon it would have been thingy, maybe. Maybe when it was in 2002, it would have been a bit more... There would have been a bit more backlash, but... Because it was 2007, you know, maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, so... The other one as well, there was going to be one made in the 90s as well. I think this one's quite interesting. They were also going to adapt it before Michael Bay got his hands on it. This one got quite far into like concept as well. Ridley Scott was going to do an adaptation of it as well, with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Neville.
That would have been
Whoa, Schwarzenegger!
I wouldn't have put Arnold in there.
No.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's a weird combination, but it fell through because they were They had planned on spending too much to make it. But apparently, it was gonna be set in the Bay Area of California, and it was going to be more of an action film than like a drama. So, you know, maybe not.
I think it works well as it is. I think there's
it really
just
does.
enough action in it.
Yeah, because I mean, the book's a drama. It's not an action film. Like he hardly fucking does anything in the book. Honestly, there's more action in the film than there is in the book. He does fuck all. But yeah. So anyway, he goes into thing. So we'll start with the film. Obviously, it starts with the news report. We get some tasty exposition about the the person who creates who would then the medicine that goes on to become the crippling virus, which is essentially the cure for cancer, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's Emma Thompson. It is
Emma Thompson.
It is, yeah.
Man, I forget
she's doing this.
She's amazing. I just want to say that 'cause I don't think we've had a movie with Emma Thompson yet, but like. She plays such a small role in this movie, and I think one of the things that she can do so well that like it's a rare thing. She has that interview, and you can see her thinking about what she wants to say, not thinking about what the next line is, but as if a normal human is like, okay, I've been asked a question, what's my response? I wonder if this bit might be funny. You can sort of see it going on. It's amazing. Yeah. She's great.
Yeah.
She's really talented, to be fair. And she's a talented screenplay, right? Is it screenplay? She does something.
Screenwriter.
Something like that. She's written some good stuff.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, yeah. It's a weird cameo that you don't expect, and then it's there, and you're like, oh yeah, that. But yeah, so we find out what it is, and then it skips 3 years, obviously, and we get the abandoned New York. And Sam, you said you loved the abandoned New York, but what did everyone else think about abandoned New York?
It was weird.
Because we've seen it.
It's alright. I'm surprised that Mustang isn't as good a nick as it is.
I was just about to say that.
See, the thing with the Mustang is, I was curious why it doesn't show up in the film again.
Yeah.
And I did some research, And the reason it's there is because there's a deleted scene. Originally, the way the film's going to start with all the shots of New York, and then it was going to cut to the shot which ended up being the very first shot. You know, the one where it says 3 years later and it's got the buildings and stuff. That was actually going to be the last shot of the montage, and it was then going to transition into the reflection on like a window, and then he was then going to drive through the window in the Mustang, and it was going to be that he's gone to a shop, stole it, and that's why he's in the Mustang. And that's then why he doesn't show up in the rest of the film. But then it just skips to the shot of it going down the road. So obviously there's a lot of CGI in the film to create the empty New York. But apparently I found out that a lot of the like grass and overgrowth is real, and they had it transported from Florida to do it.
Oh, wow.
So
Why?
I don't
Why
know.
bother doing that?
Get it from down the road. You know what I mean? Get it from somewhere.
I mean, I'm glad they did, because if this movie has taught me anything, it's that just because you can do things in CGI does not mean you always should.
Thing is, though, if you've done some CGI grass that whizzes past the camera at like 60, 70 miles per hour, it's only going to be a couple of frames of it.
True.
And it's going to be motion blurred, and...
Yeah.
But there's bits where it's not whizzing by. There is bits where he's in amongst it and like hunting in it. And
oh no, that's true. That should be real.
All the ones. See, some of the ones where he's hunting like through it. That's some of it's real, some of it's not. It's a whole thing. But yeah. So what we'll do is So he chases the deer through like Central Park. He drives through. He's doing whatever. And then we get like better look at the city. There's like buildings with like quarantine plastic all over him, and police cars like abandoned in the street and shit like that, you know, common post-apocalyptic stuff. So he pursues them he like goes after them on foot because he loses them at Grand Central Station, which is like a 2-minute walk. Oh, no, it's not. That's ridiculous. It's like 2 blocks over from Times Square, which is where he then is. So it's like a whole. So the bit in Times Square, they did not film this in Times Square. It was a soundstage because they couldn't get permission to put a shit ton of grass in the middle of Times Square.
So Times Square is really busy all the time.
Yeah. So the whole thing is soundstage, yeah. And we get that bit with the bloody lion jump scare that gets me every single time.
Yeah, that got me.
When it's
like,
oh, fuck,
really?
Well,
yeah, it got me. Actually, to get me.
I know that it's coming. I know that
only
it's coming.
Minor. I didn't.
I'm not saying I like shit myself or anything, but like
I was eating.
You never shit yourself.
I was eating some Chinese takeaway at the time. You know, there wasn't noodles on my ceiling. I contained myself, but
just like a jolt.
Go, like, oh shit, a lion.
It's like, whoa.
To be fair,
what's for me,
I was also, my mind was preoccupied because I really like looking at what posters were around.
Good
I've actually got.
It was just fun to see. Oh, like Wicked's playing. Oh, of course, Wicked's playing. Rent's still playing. Okay.
Did anyone see the poster at the end of this scene?
Yep.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So there is actually a reason it's there. They didn't just throw it in because lol. The reason it's there is because I did some research into it. The reason it's there is because one of the screenwriters on this film, a guy called, I should have found out how to say his name, Akvia Goldsman, maybe, I think so. He actually did rewrites for Batman vs Superman project in 2002. So this. Oh my god!
Is that the one with the Joker and
a bee or something?
Fucking
and like he stings Lois Lane or something.
Jacob, you might have seen it. I think Mr. Sunday Movies did like an animation of it, and it's truly terrible.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. He gets a bee, doesn't he? Doesn't the Joker get a bee to sting Lois Lane and to kill her or something?
Something like that. A Joker bee.
Or something.
It's like a Joker bee, and it's got a big grin on its face. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, but he did rewrites on that, so that's why that's.
No wonder they were doing bloody rewrites on it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So
would that have been? Do you reckon if that was a project still ongoing in 2007, and they thought, right, for a laugh, let's say at some point between 2007 and 2010 this would have come out, do you reckon that actually would have been Brandon Routh and Christian Bale?
I don't know. Maybe.
Ooh, I don't know.
It hasn't got any names on it, doesn't it? Only have the. Is it May 15th, 2010 is when...
Yeah, and it's got... Do you know what I enjoy? I enjoy that it's got the same logo as the actual movie's got, but much worse.
Yeah. You know that someone whipped that together in Photoshop or something and was like, stick it in, it's fine. Yeah, because in the film, the virus sped in like 2009. So, this film, you can imagine it started around December of... like 2009. So we get that bit. His watch beeps, so he fucks off. Goes back home to his house opposite Washington Square. It's a fair enough house, you know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine that's bloody cheap. He's much more stable in this version than he is in the book. Like, he's actually got like a routine and shit, and he's got a dog, bro. And so he has his din-dins and Sam...
you say he's stable, right?
Well... Yeah, it's a thing.
Here's the thing. I think the best bits in this movie are when he's losing his mind, right? Like when he goes to the DVD shop and he's set up all the mannequins and he's thinking about talking to the girl and getting nervous and having small talk with the cashier. That was honestly some of my favourite bits of the whole movie. I could have done with more of that. I really could have done. But the thing is, I think I want this movie to be like a really weird art film.
See, right, this is the thing about the book, because the book has that stuff in. I didn't explain it right. I basically told you all the weird bits of the book. Things that fill in the gaps and bits like that moment. Like, he talks to himself and he imagines... There's a bit where he imagines a crowd of, like, a room full of people, and he's talking, he's doing the voice for each of them, but he's doing different voices. It's a whole thing. He goes... mad,
it's a whole thing,
progressively. Yeah,
it's a whole thing. Should be the quote of this, like.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. You know what I mean? Thing. Man goes crazy. You know what I mean? That's what it is. That's I Am Legend, the book. Because one of the interesting things of the book is that you don't really get it in this, because he talks to the dog. He talks to Sam all the time, doesn't he? The bit where the woman shows up in the book is there's a line of dialogue, which I think a line from the book that's really interesting, where it says he speaks to the woman. But, like, he's surprised because he's not heard his own voice in, like, 2 years. So he's forgot what he sounds like because he's had no one to talk to. So he doesn't... I find that really weird because, like, imagine not talking for 2 years, like, you forget your own voice.
Still talk to yourself, surely.
Well, no, that's the thing. Like, in the book, he does it first, but it moves into his head. It does this weird transaction where he's talking to himself, and then he kind of transitions to him talking to his own thoughts. And then he stops speaking out loud. He talks with the dog. It's when the dog dies that he transitions into his head. Because he's like, oh, well, the dog's... I've not even got a dog anymore, so I'm not even going to talk to myself, kind of thing. And then it skips 2 years, and all of a sudden he's, like, talking again. And he's like, whoa, my voice is so weird, kind of thing. I find that really interesting. So...
Is that how he opens dialogue with the woman? He's like, hey, I just wanted to... Whoa!
My voice is
fucking
so
hear
deep.
that?
It should be if it is. But yeah, so he goes to his house and Sam doesn't want to eat vegetables, and it's got like, oh, you're eating them all tomorrow, whatever. And what was it? The thing? Yeah, so he's washing Sam like in the bath, and he whacks on some Bob Marley, and we get like he has some like mad PTSD, and we have like a flashback, our first flashback. And fun fact for you, the little girl is played by Will Smith's real daughter, Willow Smith. So
cool.
Nice.
There you go. Little thing. Anyway, crazy shit goes down, and Will Smith rocks up to his house. Will Smith rocks up to his house with his boys, gets his wife, and say they're gonna close Manhattan. Big you know, shit happens. They chat. Guy runs into the car. Another kind of minor jump scare there. And then you just get a whole
that
kind of... You get more... Me. No, see, that one doesn't get me anymore. It did when I first watched it. Anyway, we see more of his routine. You know, he goes to the DVD store. He's talking to all the people, all the mannequins, and... Oh, no, hold on. Let's back up a bit. Because he goes to his lab first, doesn't he, and checks on his pet rats. Yeah. Most of them are being moody bastards, except that one. That's, you know, he's acting a bit chill, you know. he's letting the antidote take hold on him, and he's chilling out a bit. So then he goes out, he plays some more Bob Marley, the exact same song again. Like, you'd think for a guy who has unlimited access to every single CD ever created, he would play more than one song.
Yeah.
But I guess not.
Good song.
It is a good song. It is a good song, but I don't think I'd listen to it on repeat. Nah. Especially if I'm alone with my dog for 3 years.
You'd wanna even it out, wouldn't you? You'd be like, right, bit of
Yeah.
Bob Marley, that was excellent. You know what's next? Skrillex, right?
Yeah.
Palate cleanser. Then when Marley goes back on, it'll be amazing.
Go to like some Mozart or something as he's like killing some
Beethoven.
zombies or whatever.
Yeah.
There we go. Classic. You'd even it out, wouldn't you? Especially knowing that there's never going to be any new music ever again. You'd want
Right, his
to
own.
embrace
Yeah,
as
yeah.
much as possible.
That's a weird thing.
So anyway, he goes to the Blockbuster or whatever it is, picks out a movie, says hi to his pet mannequins, and he notices a particularly spicy-looking lady, but
In
he's
the
too
porn
nervous to
section.
talk to her. Yeah, is she? I didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that.
she is.
Well. See, one thing I want to know is, right, does he go there every day and be like, ooh, she's spicy, you know what I mean? Like, because he's obviously been there for the past 3 years. So does he do that in his head to keep him sane or something?
Maybe
Because
he only
later on,
recently
obviously,
found the
goes-
dummies.
Maybe.
Yeah,
So
maybe he
he's
does
a-
it in other stores. Maybe he has different
Weird.
interactions with different mannequins.
See, that would have been quite interesting to see him just go into, like, bloody Macy's or something. There's being mannequins everywhere. Weird.
I mean, I don't think he's doing it to keep himself sane, necessarily. Like,
I
do you
think
know,
he's just lonely.
Yeah, I think
like,
he's just
he
lonely, and
does
he's
it-
just like, it's just taken a hold now. You know, it's just something he does.
A lot of the first part of the film is all kind of like his routine and shit. But like his dog, I really love the relationship with the dog in this. The dog, I love it so much that actually I've for a long time said that if I ever got a German Shepherd, I'm calling it Samantha. It's happening. So I apologise, Sam, if in like 5 years or whatever I have a German Shepherd, and for whatever reason you're on a walk with us, and I say, Sam, I apologise in advance for you thinking that I'm talking to you when I'm talking to my dog. So
Nice.
Oh,
apologies
is
for
that
that.
going to be like 30-year-old us? Cute.
Yeah. There you go. So anyway, he goes and we'll skip on to the bit where he's going through apartments, isn't he? He's searching and finds some pure spam. Good find, I guess. I don't know. I don't like spam, so.
Yeah, I'm not a big spam guy either. Yeah.
Never
No,
tried
I'm
it,
not.
never will.
He gets a bit too excited about it, I think. It's a bit weird. So we get that bit where he's doing the messages and he's like, I'm Robert Neville. I was the last survivor in New York, you know, classic zombie apocalypse stuff. Especially in 2007 to like 2013 was like prime zombie time in like
Yeah.
media.
Is that when Cillian Murphy's film come out? What was that one?
Oh, no, that was
What's that called
28
now?
days later.
Yeah.
28 days later, yeah, that was 2002. That actually was one of the films that started the zombie thing, so. The sequel came out in that time, though, 28 weeks later or something like that. So he's doing that, he goes to the pier.
Gotta wait a long time to make
And-
a sequel to that, don't they?
Oh, yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
Damn it. That was poor, but also fantastic. Nice.
Oh, that's a slow burner, that one, isn't it? So anyway. So he does a transition, and then it cuts then... Isn't that the bit where he's playing golf off the jet on the USS Intrepid? That's what it's called. And I feel really bad as well about this thing, because I remember when my dad went to New York, he wanted to go and visit this, but it wasn't there, so he couldn't. So I feel really bad for him. Like, my dad's really into like jets and things, so he was really excited and it wasn't there. I felt really bad for him. So I imagine a lot of people have wanted to then play golf off that thing, having seen this film. Like, it's pretty...
Mate,
Quite iconic.
I can do anything around an SR-17 Blackbird. That's a fucking gorgeous plane. The X-Men's plane. Come on. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Hasn't it got some... Or used to have a record for the highest altitude flight or something?
Something like that, yeah. I think so.
Swear, it held a record for something.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he's playing golf off it. And he spots the deer, doesn't he? And Sam spots the deer. They chase it and they go into the building. I think this is probably one of the best sequences in the film as well.
Yeah,
this whole
great.
kind of like 5-minute thing. What did everyone think of it in general?
Is this the one where it's got the camera looking up at him? Is it that one? Am I thinking
that's how it ends. Yeah, it's when he goes into the bank and it's all dark.
Yes.
And it does that. It tricks you into thinking Sam's dead because you see the deer.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, it's fine. He's okay.
Honestly, I think it's really good. I think this movie makes excellent use of silence.
Yeah,
it doesn't build the tension with some creepy string music. It just cuts the sound altogether, and it's really good.
There's no
quite like a quiet
actual score to this film. Yeah, this film has no score. It has one theme. It has the theme, and that's it.
Yeah.
Other than
one of the things that I thought was really good. This is really tiny, but there's a bit where he's going past a bathroom, and the flare from his torch on his gun shines into the mirror and blinds him temporarily, so he ducks.
Yeah.
But it doesn't blind him, it blinds us. It blinds the camera.
Yeah.
But Will Smith reacts just as it would have done it if he'd have actually seen it. It's really, really well timed.
Yeah.
That's well good.
I think it's really good.
Apparently,
I think it's one of the best.
Sorry?
You probably know this already, Joe, but apparently you can see the cameraman in the mirror when that happens.
Oh shit, I actually didn't know that.
Do you know what? I didn't spot it.
Oh, well, there you go. Cool. Well, actually, you were saying about silence. I did something, and the idea Francis Lawrence got, start again. The thing that inspired him to do the thing with the silence is he was watching Schindler's List on mute to not wake up his baby, and he was surprised how intense it still was, even though it was silent. So that's why he decided to make this film so quiet. So there you go.
That's
fun fact for you.
That's cool.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. It's kind of like thingy. It's George Miller, isn't it? George Miller, who his whole philosophy is if you can't turn the sound off in one of my movies and still not know what's going on, you still if you feel lost, then I've done a bad job as a visual, as a visual media director. You have to still be able to tell what's going on.
Film and
pretty good philosophy.
This whole scene's this thing. I think it's dead good. And then you get that bit with the Dark Seekers just kind of doing a weird cult thing in the circle with all the money around them.
Just chilling.
And then you find Sam, obviously, and they bolt out, and Will Smith dolphin dives out of a window, but one unlucky bastard breaks his fall.
Yep.
That's a shame.
Hey,
so he's now found... Go on.
The jump scare where you see one of them for the first time, and it roars... Okay, nearly got me for half a second where I was like, oh shit, there's one. And then I saw it, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh no, why does it look like that? That's awful.
See, originally, apparently they weren't going to be CGI, but apparently the reason they decided to make it CGI is because the practical effects they were going to use looked so bad on camera.
No way.
That they had to settle. No. But then if you see it, it's kind of terrifying looking, but I can imagine it not working. They said, what did they say it looked like? The crew said it looked like something. It looked like a bloody Oompa Loompa or something like that. I can't remember what they said.
Right, but
it looked ridiculous.
Do you know what it looks like? Do you know what it looks like now? It looks like the fucking Scorpion King, right?
Yeah, it doesn't look
Do you know what
good.
it looks like to me? Do you guys know the meme at the minute where it's this white pale robot and he turns to the camera and goes, no. Have you guys seen that?
Potentially.
I think so, yeah.
I will send it to you later. That's what he looks like.
Yeah, it's not great. It's just...
Why don't you put loads of people in bold caps?
That's what they did originally.
I mean, honestly, I think if the practical effects looked bad, do them better.
Just do better.
They spend all this money CGI because there's points in this film for me, particularly at the end, where it actually ruins moments that could be good.
Yeah.
It's not. I think they could have gone. It's weird. In 2007, the CGI wasn't terrible, but standards.
Gollum! Look at Gollum! That was like 2003?
Yeah, it's... I get that maybe a lot of the CGI could have been last minute.
Oh, from My Robot?
Yeah.
My Robot, yeah.
That's what he looks like.
That other Will
I'll
Smith
give you
movie.
that.
That's a good movie.
That is a good movie.
It is, yeah. See, the difference is, in that film, they're meant to look fake because they're fucking robots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they still look
Whereas
better than
this-
these weird things anyway. They still look pretty
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, there you go. Plus, they all look the same in this as well, which I think is really weird.
Yeah,
anyway,
agreed.
So, yeah, we get that whole thing. We get some bad CGI, and he's... Yeah, so he's found a hive of zombie vampires, and he decides to...
Sorry, that was shit.
Wait, what?
That was so shit. I said a hive of scum
didn't even
and
hear
villainy.
Oh.
That's why I said it so quiet, because it was so shit.
You lost confidence in it immediately.
Yeah.
Still.
Carry on.
Yeah, so he finds the hive, and he decides to Wile E. Coyote this shit and sets a trap for him. And he manages to snag a female one, but he pisses off her boyfriend, and he's all like, ah, and he gets pissed off for swooping in and stealing his girl. So he takes her back to his basement, begins experimenting on her. Looks like the cure is working, and then yet again the film throws us another bloody jump scare, but like at the same level. So like it keeps throwing us these things where it's like a split second of like you kind of like that's it. It's weird. It keeps on doing it, and it's like pick what you are. You're a thriller or you're a horror. Fucking decide. It's not even scary though, so it can't be a horror. But anyway,
Right, big man.
so yeah, man.
I can flex on. I watched I'm Legend. Deep and jump.
Yeah.
Nah, not scary, mate.
Nah. Didn't even cry that much, you know what I mean? Yeah, so obviously his experiment fails and he has a bit of a tantrum. So he goes upstairs and decides to record the latest episode of his blog. He drops some exposition on us, telling us that apparently they're fully zombified now, no humans left. Big sad. Then we're doing another flashback, and apparently, right, well, they go, obviously, I'll explain the flashback they do. They go to the pier, drops his family off at the helicopter or whatever, you know. Yeah. But right, how much do you reckon they paid for this, to film this scene, roughly, out of the budget?
There's a lot of people there. Got to pay all
Yeah,
of
there
them.
was a lot of people there.
Apparently there was over 1,000 extras.
Fuck.
And they filmed it on location. So that was, the Brooklyn Bridge was really there. They filmed it under the Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh, wow.
Okay, this was a
So-
lot. This
Did they
was a
actually blow
lot.
it
Yeah.
up as well?
Yeah, they did, yeah. And then they paid to refix it, yeah. So, and then the pier as well. So the pier that they're on doesn't exist. So they had to bring a barge in and basically create a pier so they could film it here.
Damn. No, sorry, pier. Never mind.
Pier.
Or
That was just
Yeah, what
a
was
bad
I
line.
saying?
water structure pun.
Oof.
Yeah. What's happening? I don't know what's going on.
You get to
Did I
feel
say
better
something
about your
wrong?
one, Amelia.
I feel a
was saying,
lot
that was-
better.
What's happening?
That was very bad.
I don't know what's going on. Have I said something?
Don't worry.
Did I get a word wrong? What's going on?
No.
I said damn,
Oh, right.
and then I was like, oh no,
Oh,
it's
right.
Here.
Oh, right, okay. I thought I was the one saying the wrong word.
Right. This is at least in the millions. I think it's a good chunk of the budget.
It is, yeah. It is in the millions. Yeah. So they actually end up paying for this. Oh no, that's too much. He didn't pay that much. It wasn't that mad.
4.2.
Very close.
4.3.
Even closer, but only by a little bit.
Oh, go on, tell us.
Yeah, tell us.
5.
5.
5 million. Yeah, 5 million. So they had to invent the whole. Invent. What am I on about? They had to shoot the whole thing in person at night. They had to close a bunch of roads down and shit. And they had to bring the pier in, and then they had to then do it again during the day so they could shoot the stuff during the day. And it's a whole thing.
Do you know what? That's kind of a shame because I think the flashbacks are the worst part of this movie. I do without them. I don't think you actually get anything out of them. Honestly, not major, nothing
find out
major.
he has a
like
wife,
you
that's
find out information. He had a family. his kid gave him Sam, but I don't think that information changes the way you look at the film or what he's done or what he's doing in ways you couldn't have already found out. You know, like you see his kid's room as one of the first rooms you see in his house anyway, so I can make.
So you know, he had a thing, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, but again, I really wanted this to be a weird art movie with just Will Smith and a dog, and I didn't want any other characters, and I wanted him talking to himself and a dog and a mannequin for. Do you know what? I wanted more. I think it's an hour 40. I wanted 2 hours, no flashbacks, just fucking. Honestly, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted.
That sounds hard to sit through.
Particularly when he starts to lose it in like not near the end. Like,
if it's well done, then yeah, okay, fair enough.
Because to me, this is actually like a tale of two movies, or like maybe like movie and a half. Because the initial bit, all the way up until he tries to fucking do himself in, is amazing, fucking incredible. And then he gets saved, and the rest of it is just fine.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, I know what you mean. It'd be a different film if it was just 2 hours of him chilling on his own, and then he pops himself at the end or something, you know? Maybe.
But yeah, I didn't
a lot more
like
like the book, apparently, by the sounds of things.
Yeah, the book. Yeah, there you go. You hating on the book before. That's the book. That's all the book is. It's very boring. The thing with the film from the 60s, the adaptation of the 60s, is it's very boring, but that's because that's what his life is meant to be like. Yeah. The book's about how boring his life is because he's on his own. So the film's really boring until it gets to the end, and it gets a bit shit at the end. But like the beginning's really boring because his life's really boring, and it works, but he didn't intend for it to work that way. It's just the way, it's just, yeah. And it's a whole thing. Oh shit, I've lost where I am on my notes.
Point on the flashbacks and whether or not we needed them or not. The bit where a bit further down the line, where he meets that woman and her son, or the kid.
Yeah.
And the first couple of seconds that we see them, from his point of view, he sees his wife and kid.
Yeah. I actually did like that. Yeah.
I reckon that would have been all we needed for, he's losing it a bit, but he's for a family.
You'd see them and assume that's his family,
sufficed. Particularly because he walks into his kitchen, doesn't he? And he sees them first, and then I think that was good. That I like that.
Like you see pictures of them earlier in the film, so you know who they are. So it's I don't know. It's So the flashback ends, doesn't he? Wakes up, and then while he's chomping on his Weetabix, he finds out it's his birthday, and he's like, "Hey, it's my birthday!" Hey! And he's like, "Cool." Plays catch with Sam, and then they go for a drive around New York. They're chatting about a surprise party, and then he sees something down the street. It's bloody Fred the mannequin. Bastard's moved around. He's not where he left him. So he's now stood in front of Grand Central Station, fucking waiting for the Avengers or something. Did anyone notice something about that long shot of Fred? There's something that, you know, like the bit where he sees it and it's like extremely long shot. Yeah, there's something about that no one ever seems to notice.
Is it actually a guy in like the really long shot?
Yeah. So in that
first
shot,
time I saw it, I thought it was one of the zombies with a hoodie. That's what I thought.
So it is obviously it's the maybe find out it's the mannequin, isn't it? But in that one particular shot, he was an actor because if you look really closely, he turns his head and looks at the camera.
Yeah.
And that was something they added in to make the audience think they're seeing things. Because no one ever notices it, and then when you look, it's very subtle, it goes like that. That's it. That's all there is. From a distance, you hardly see it. But yeah, that's actually something.
Probably enough for you to notice it and then doubt yourself that it's what you've seen.
Yeah, well that's it.
That's exactly what it's designed to be,
it was the movement that made me think it was a zombie, because it's pale.
Yeah.
I thought, right, it's moved. Okay, it's a zombie. Maybe they've learned that they can get out in the sun if they just cover themselves a little bit. And then when it revealed to be a mannequin, that's the exact thought process I had, where I was like, oh, did it move?
Did I actually see? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly the thing it's meant to, and it obviously works perfectly. You know what I mean? I love it because no one ever believes me. Like I legit had an argument with my mate once. He's like, "It doesn't fucking move," and I was like, "Watch it. We'll watch it right now." And he was like, "It's not moving." It's like, how? What? Anyway, so he goes down, doesn't he? He starts shouting at him. He's like, if you're real, fucking tell me now. And I think this right here is him kind of acknowledging that the whole thing with the mannequins is... The fact that he knows that he's obviously a mannequin, it reveals that maybe he's not crazy.
Maybe,
he just does it. Yeah, it confirms that he's doing it because he's lonely, kind of thing.
But
he's very self-aware that he's talking to mannequins, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, if you're real, kind of thing.
That he doesn't know if he's talking to a real person.
Here's
like,
a
am I
question.
going mad kind of situation?
Unless my cut was again different, and I just didn't get this information. There is no hard answer, is there, for who moved the mannequin?
I was going to bring this up. I was going to ask this.
Or the trap. So this is what I did. This is what my brain did. He did it. And has forgotten he's done it.
I thought that because he set a trap.
Maybe.
And we've seen him set similar traps before. So either it was him.
I didn't think of that, actually.
I thought it could have been because these vampire zombie things are smart. Like, they're not like your average zombies who just kind of brainlessly walk around. Like, they can do shit and they can follow him. So it's not unlike them to watch what he does, setting a trap and copy him.
I think that what they've done is he's left the trap there, the one that he used to catch the woman. This is what I always assume he's done. Is he's left that trap there, and they've then seen that trap, used the pieces to do it again, but somewhere else, and then set the mannequin there to as bait. And I reckon that's what it is.
You do see. I think this is something that's really good. Is you see them doing things really like the dogs are about to come out the window and go after him, right? But you see just a very, very brief moment. It looks like they're on leashes, or it looks like the zombies are holding the dogs,
or at least
and they let them go. They release them, and that's a taming thing. That's a pet thing.
It looks like it's thought about. Planned.
It's I think I do think that they set it obviously is to trap him, and that they've just deconstructed. I really like the idea that maybe he's done it himself though. That's really cool. That he's just done all this stuff for so long that he's legit just forgot about it. Because 3 years, you can't remember every single thing you've ever done to catch him. It could have just been the ones that you set in forests for animals or whatever.
Yeah.
And it just traps him and he holds them there until you come and get him. It could just be something like that. I like that idea. That's pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, so it triggers and he whacks his head on the thing and he's bleeding, he passes out. Wakes up to the beeping. And then we get the bit where the dogs come out. And I just want to say something about this scene. When I went to New York and when I went to Grand Central Station, I looked up at this window to see where he bloody comes from. And on the other side of that window is a drop. There is nothing that he could be stood on to come through that window. There's no floor.
Mate, it changes.
Well, he must bloody float up because I looked because I was like, oh, that's that window from I Am Legend. I wonder if there's actually, and there's not. There's nothing there. It's a massive bloody room and it drops down. Yeah, well.
All right, Amelia. Ooh.
Yeah, well. You know what I mean?
Maybe they made a ramp. If they're smart enough to set traps.
I mean, so you just built a ramp so we could get up that fucking thing.
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows? But anyway. So obviously the dogs come out and it's all sad. He gets his gun. But obviously Sam gets bit and he has to take her to the lab. And unfortunately she dies. It's very sad. Fun fact
Not a week later.
Not a week later, no. In the moment, he has to do it himself, and it's very sad. Fun fact for you, though, the way they filmed that bit where she snaps at him, that's like the dog actually snapping at Will Smith.
Wait,
and the way they did that, yeah. So the way they did it was they got the dog's trainer to hold her, and they put a toy next to his face. And she was snapping at the toy, and then they CG'd the toy and the trainer out later on. So that's why she's snapping at him.
That's quite seamless.
Wow.
I thought it was a CGI done at that point.
Same.
Yeah, well, so did I, but no, yeah, legit, yeah. So, everything else apart from the dog was CGI, apparently, so there you go.
I thought it was a really powerful scene, this.
Yeah, it was really good. It was apparently voted one of the top 100 saddest scenes or something in film ever.
I'm not surprised.
Don't know.
I mean,
I don't know who.
It was a lot more moving for me, someone who was expecting a grenade to be involved. Right? this was a lot. This was a lot more subtle, and I do appreciate how again it was done with sound. You just look at Will Smith's face is the only thing you see, and you just hear it.
Yeah, I really like that. I really like that. Yeah. But yeah, obviously it's really sad. He buries her in Central Park, and he goes and talks to the woman at the DVD place, and it's very sad.
I love this.
Emotion from everyone, you know what I mean? Everyone involved, they're all sad, and even the mannequin's a bit sad as well. It's a whole thing.
Do you know what? It's funny though as well. It's the way he cracks where he goes, I promised my friend that I'd say hello to you today. Hello. It's the way he says it.
It's insane,
so
isn't
good.
it? I love it. I love this section of the film. It's so good.
Yeah. See, because this is the thing is you have this and like one other scene are the only scenes you get where he's truly on his own, and I really could have done with more before he gets. If he's got to be saved and you've got to introduce other characters, I could have done with more without just. It's really good, this bit.
See, the thing I really like about it is that immediately following this, he does the thing where he tricks them into thinking he's out at night, and then he runs into him. And it's just a pure act of revenge. And I love that it's this guy who's got his life in such a mad routine. He just breaks it because he's like, fuck it. Like, I'm on my own. I've lost my dog. I'm just going to fucking murder him. Who gives a shit if I die? And then even when the car flips, he just doesn't even get out or attempt to escape, does he? He just sits there. And then obviously
the
they show
whole
up
exit of what you said just then and apply it to John Wick. I've just realised.
Oh yeah, he can. Yeah, there you go.
He gets
the only
mad 'cause
difference
someone
is
killed his dog, so he goes out in revenge and tries to kill them with his car, and it flips.
There you go. That's where John Wick came from. Watch this film and he's like, "Guy getting revenge because they killed his dog." Plot right there, man. Let's do it.
Sorted.
And everyone loves it because it's a dog, and everyone knows that you would do it for a dog. You know what I mean? So obviously, so he pulls out the Houdini trick, tricks him into thinking that he's on the pier, rams into him, you know. And then just when you think he's dead, bloody bright light appears. It's God. No, it's not. It's just some kid. It's some woman and a kid. And on the way home, he's like telling her where he lives, and he's like, they don't know where I live. Don't let them track us. You know, he's passed it out. And then we get the last part of the flashback, which is obviously the Brooklyn Bridge gets fucked, and the helicopter goes and fucking wrecks his family. And that's it. That's the last of the thingy. So at the end of all of these things as well, I've literally just realised at the end of all the flashbacks, he wakes up at the end of them, doesn't he? All three of them. Mm-hmm. And it cuts from a really loud thing to a really quiet thing. Except for this one, which cuts to Shrek. But yeah, so he wakes up, doesn't he? Because... yeah, so he wakes up to the soothing sound of Shrek. What a nice thing to wake up to. It's bloody amazing. He goes into the kitchen, and there's a woman and a kid in his kitchen, Ethan and Anna. They're cooking all of his food. They sit down for a lovely breakfast, and they chat about the survivors' colony in the north, where the cold kills the virus.
Well, hang on. I wish they did what you just described, but it has this horrible bit before where some writers think they're too fucking clever to just have two characters who just met discuss the plot. So you have to watch them for like ages, be like, oh hey, made you some bacon. I was saving that bacon. And all the characters are doing is refusing to engage in the plot, and all I'm doing is waiting for them to fucking talk about it.
Yeah.
You don't know each other. You need to catch up. I know the scene's coming. Just fucking get on with it.
I mean, to be fair though, right?
You're not cleverer than exposition. Sometimes you just have to do it. Bollocks to you.
See, the thing is though, right? He gets pretty pissed off about this bacon, right? And I would be as well. Like, who comes into someone else's house, cooks the bacon without permission? I'll tell you who. Psychos. Exactly. Psychos do that. She's a psycho. Cooking his fucking bacon. I'd be well... And the worst part about it is, he leaves without even fucking taking it. I would have been like, fucking give me that bacon now, and then left. I'd be handfuls of whole plate. I've been eating in my fucking bedroom, you know what I mean? It's like he doesn't care about the bacon, you know what I mean? That's where I lost respect for him. So, yeah, obviously he comes back down, he recites some Shrek, and I actually did research because I was curious, like, how many Shrek films are out up to this point. So, when the time the virus would have started, they would have been advertising Shrek Forever After, which means, in the universe of I Am Legend, they were never cursed with the nightmare that is Shrek 4. He didn't have to sit through that. He was just, it ended with Shrek the Third. They're the only 3 Shreks he'd seen. So, it's not a bad world to live in, you know what I mean? Just saying. Shrek Forever After.
It's not a bad world to live in, other than the good majority of the entire human population is dead, and the other percentage are out to kill you and hunt you down and eat you.
Minus Shrek 4. That's you know what I mean? I'm just saying. Like, I don't know if you've any... Like,
good point.
I'm just saying, it's a bit...
Swings and roundabouts. Every cloud, you know.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
Because I love how long it goes on of him copying Shrek. It's way too long. I love it. And then at the end, he just goes, I like Shrek. And that line probably wasn't very funny in 2007. But in 2020, after Shrek's been one of the longest lasting memes, it's so fucking funny.
It's amazing. It's so much better now that it's Shrek as well. I love it so much.
Yeah.
It was just Shrek. Because when did it come out? 2001 or something? This was only a few years old by this point. No, 2001, 2002.
Yeah, same year as Monsters, Inc.
Only a few years old. Yeah, so there you go. Sorted. But yeah, so anyway, they take Ethan upstairs, don't they? And they took him into bed, and we get the whole thing about how she doesn't know who Bob Marley is, which is weird as fuck, because everyone knows who Bob Marley is. You know his songs, at least. And he finally plays a different Bob Marley song, which is nice. And then they start scrapping again, and Neville throws it in her face that throws some stats in her face, and shuts down her argument, telling her there's no God. When suddenly, the vampires know where he lives. It's a big thing. So he blows up a few cars, tries to slow him down, but one of them gets in and attacks him. Blows up his kitchen, trying to stop it. But it gets away through a hole in the window. So he heads up to his bedroom, where Anna and Ethan are hiding under a... something?
Desk.
They're hiding. There you go, a desk. In my notes, I've just got that they're hiding. They're hiding, and there's a vampire ripping a hole in the wall. So, he's ripping the hole so his fellow bros and brosettes can come down and get in the house. Neville whips out his pistol and yeets some bullets at it. Via the pistol.
Some pistols.
Yeah. And then, but obviously the vampire, alerts his homies that they can get into the house. So, suddenly Neville has a bunch of vampires climbing all over his house, ripping through his walls and fucking his shit up. So they bolt to the lab. So once they get down there, they find that Neville, the woman Neville's captured, is actually, cured. See, right, Sam, this is the bit now. I don't understand where the version we've watched diverts from yours. So what happens at the end of your film?
I know.
Okay.
I watched both endings because I was watching this with my housemates, and they said, "There's another ending."
Yeah, I watched the other ending. I don't know where it starts though. The new ending.
Okay.
It's the glass. It's
Is it the glass?
Yeah.
Is it because they go into that room? Don't they?
He's smashing the glass. He's jumping into the glass. Then he puts his hand on the glass and he makes a sweat butterfly.
He draws a butterfly. Yeah.
And then Will Smith
so
goes,
weird.
shit, a fucking butterfly that's tattoos on the fucking, look at that. And then he goes, will you open the door? So Anna opens the door and he wheels. Is yours totally different than what I've seen?
Yeah, completely. I'll explain how different ours is, yeah.
Okay, so that's mad actually, because this is the point in the movie that I was like, okay, this could be really good if it wasn't filled with shit fucking CGI. So he wheels the body out, right? And all the zombies are sort of near him and trying to. It looks like they're trying to bite him, but it's more like they're trying to resist, right? There's this instant urge of I've got to bite you. But they're like, I'm not gonna give you a chance. And he gets the thingy, like adrenaline out of the drawer, stabs it in her, so she's alive again, but not cured. And then they sort of have this moment where the zombie picks her up and looks at him, and they have this moment of like, it's he realizes like, okay, I can't cure you because you don't know that you're ill. Like, you're a new species now entirely, so I can't cure you, and you don't want to be cured.
To the end of the book, you know,
right? Yeah. So they leave him, and Will Smith and Ethan and Anna, yeah, get in a car and try and find the colony. That's the end of the movie.
So yeah, that's the alternate ending. That's not the ending that was on the cinemas.
Okay,
that's not the official ending. So
don't know what it was doing in the cut I watched.
So what happened was the actual ending. I'll explain the actual ending in a sec. The actual ending, people didn't like it. People liked it. Some people liked it. I didn't mind it. I thought it was quite cool. But then I saw the alternative ending. They added that to... Did you watch it on Blu-ray?
I acquired...
You got it, did you? Okay.
The version that I watched.
So, what they did was, they released a Blu-ray with the alternative ending as well.
Right.
Added on to the end of the film. And I think you could select in the menus which version you wanted to see. So there's no changes about the film at all, apart from the ending. So in the ending of the main one, the one that's like on Now TV and the one you have on TV and whatever, Sky, whatever, whenever it's on anything, the ending, what happens is, they go into the room, he's banging on the glass, and then the moment what happens is, the guy's throwing himself at the glass, and it starts cracking, but it cracks into a butterfly, and in that moment, he goes completely silent. Yeah, it cracks into a butterfly, and he's like, whoa, shit. So what he does is he takes some blood out of the woman, gives it the vial to Anna and says the cure's in her, in this blood, locks her in this like little room that's behind him, this kind of like little cubby hole thing, and then he goes into a drawer, pulls out a picture of his family that he just so happens to have in the drawer, along with a grenade that he has in the drawer as well. So he has a picture of his wife and a grenade in some random drawer in his basement. So he's like, right, you know, He pulls the pin, and as the vampire main alpha whatever guy runs at the door to make what we assume will be the last one before he gets to the glass, Neville pulls the pin and jumps as well, and blows up, and the entire basement fills with fire, killing all of them. And then it cuts, like a Blade Runner style ending, where she's driving through... Blade Runner alternate original version, where she's driving through some trees, and then she pulls up to a gate, and there's a bunch of people open the gate, and it's the colony, with all the people, and she hands over the vial to a guy. By your face, I can tell you don't like this version.
I hate it. That's unbelievable.
And what happens is
This is what you are describing is what I would imagine the alternate ending would be. You know, when you look into the DVD extras and you go, "Oh God, I can see why they didn't pick that."
Yeah. So this is, and then what happens is it ends with her then going like, on October on whatever of 2012, Robert Neville, last man on Earth, whatever, discovered the cure. On however, whatever. She goes into dates and then she says times as like a voiceover.
In the one I watched, as they're driving to because I thought it was a bit goofy having drivers to the colony, but what they don't do is show you that it exists. What they do is they have Anna broadcast a message that's very similar to the one that he puts out, and then you just see them driving off into the distance. It's quite ambiguous.
So what happens instead is she hands the cure over to some guy, and it pans out, and you see the whole colony. It's this big town. It's got walls around it, and she starts narrating over it, saying, Robert Neville was the last survivor in New York or whatever. He was trying to find a cure, and then on October, he found that cure. At 12:03, whatever, he sacrificed his life for the future of man, whatever. And it's like, this is his story, and this is his legend. And then it goes off, and then it ends. So they get the I Am Legend in at the end, essentially. And then it ends.
I hate that. I hate that.
I'm pretty sure the little cubbyhole they get into, for one, I think it's a tunnel, so they escape out.
Was it? Oh, right. I didn't even know that. Because he says to her, come out at dawn, and they're in the basement, so I was like, how the fuck does she know when it's dawn? Because they're in a basement. That was my only thing with it.
I thought it was a tunnel.
Because okay, there's so many things in this. Oh my god, I've actually just altered my score. Legit, I've had to because I was like, I was going way too low. Holy fucking shit! So there's a lot of lines in this movie. Lines like, okay, it's when it's a little bit after he's captured the girl, and he says something like, "Oh, they're now trying to come out into the sunlight. All forms of normal social human behavior are completely missing, and you come to realize that by the end of the movie, he doesn't know it, but he's talking about himself. He's not talking about them. Really.
That's what the book,
right?
That's what the book is.
And
that's what
the ending I got to retain that idea and make it like foreshadowing and hints. And this is the thing, because by the time it got to the point where they have this exchange, it's not spoken, but they have this exchange of like, me and you, we do not understand each other. You have it's like the zombies say it, because they look at the photographs he's got, of all the failed tests, and it's kind of like this: you have murdered my kind, but I don't believe you to be malicious. I don't know why you're doing it, but I don't think you know what you're doing is wrong. It's this really nice kind of unspoken moment, and it would have been a lot more powerful if it wasn't fucking rubber CGI doing all the work, right? Which is where my original complaint was. It was that I don't think it was as interesting when he had additional people and the CGI was letting down emotional scenes. But now I know it's so much worse in the real version. I am ranking it based on the one I watched, okay?
Yeah.
Very clear. See, I've just upped my score.
Generally, it's considered that the alternative ending's better, because people didn't like the ending so much that they didn't shoot the new ending separately. They did both of them at the same time, and then they decided, based on test audiences, to put the sacrifice ending in. But then because people when it came out didn't like it that much, they then put the other one on. But you know what, though? Genuinely, I have never met anyone who watched I Am Legend for the first time with the alternate ending on. That's ridiculous. That blows my mind. It's like, my God. You got like an actual full-on...
First time ever.
You got a full-on I Am Legend experience? That's amazing. That's insane.
Fuck me.
I didn't even know you could
We've
watch
all had
the
a
film.
bad time at one point of this one. Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, there you go. That's I Am Legend.
Fantastic.
Done.
Okay, what
Done
we're
and
going to do
dusted.
now is we're going to go round in a circle and give any final thoughts we have on the movie, and then give it an individual score out of 10. And then I'm going to use Matt to get an overall score out of 100, and we'll see where it ranks on our list of the best to worst movies of all time. Amelia!
Hello.
Kick us off.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this film. I think I like the premise, and as weird as it sounds, every time Joe's explained the book to me, I don't know if it's because I love his passion for this book that it makes me want to read it, and I'm like, oh, this sounds like a good book. Like,
It's a good book.
I don't know. I feel like
can
I
borrow
really
it off-
like
I
the
mean-
story. I mean, I'm okay. It'll probably fall apart if I use it. I don't really want the blame.
I mean, like, it's not that far off, you know what I mean?
But yeah, I mean, as a film, I was put off watching it for a long time because of the idea of the dog dying, and I'm just a wimp.
There's a website that tells you if a dog's going to die in the film or not.
Doesthedogdie.com. That's what it's called.
Yeah, you put in the title of the film, and
So
it tells
I think-
you what happens to the dogs.
I think because of films like this and Marley and Me, people are very skeptical about God. As soon as it's a thing. I've known people who, as soon as they see the dog in a trailer, they're like, "Shit, no, I'm not confident. I need to know."
That's amazing.
Don't watch the dog die.
I love that. But yeah, so I've never really... I don't have a massive attachment to this film. It's cool, it's different. Wish they'd have kind of gone for this more kind of ridiculous idea of like vampires instead of, like you say, like these rubbery CGI zombies, but I guess that's just the time at the end of the day. I mean, I wouldn't be like opposed to them making a remake if they could do it better.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
there was
out
going to
of
be
10
a prequel at one point.
Oh, really? That would be interesting. Actually, would it? I don't know. Maybe I'd want to see this kind of apocalyptic. I don't know. But out of 10, I'm going to have to give this one a 6.
6.
But I like the idea of the book.
Jacob.
Yeah, I've been trying to like weigh up in my head whether it falls one way or another for the whole time we've been talking about it. I think as apocalypse movies go, it's pretty solid. It's one of the best ones. But that doesn't say a lot when you look at some of the other apocalypse movies we've got. They're not well known for being fantastic, but this is one of the best. The CGI sucks. It's fucking dreadful. The actual ending they decide to go with also I don't think is as good. But then again, the alternate ending looks way worse because they rely so much more heavily on the emotions in this CGI face. So that doesn't really work either. If, as Amelia said, if they were to redo it or just even remaster it with updated CGI, I reckon it would be, I reckon it would be tons better. But no, for me, this is only going to be a 6 out of 10.
6. Joe?
So, obviously, the thing with it is, right, I can't say that the book is giving me nostalgia for the film because it was watching this film and then was like, oh, I want to read the book. And I read the book and was amazed how different it was. So it's more like the other way around. So I like the film because it made me read the book. And now the book, I love the book so much. So it's like, it's weird because as well, I didn't watch this when it first came out because I wasn't allowed. Because it was like 15. So it's like, not allowed. Got zombies in it. And so I weirdly actually watched this in 2009. I remember watching it and being like, oh, it's 2009. That's this year. So... yeah, I mean, it's that, and then you've got all the other stuff, and I don't know, I really like it. I had a point that I was going to say, and I completely forgot what it was.
Nice.
But the one thing, actually, I will comment, I want to say, Jacob, you said about the apocalypse thing, it looks really good in this, but the one difference I forgot to say earlier about the apocalypse between this and the book is, in the book, it's not the same type of post-apocalyptic. It's in this, it's obviously... shit's gone down, there's cars in the road, everyone's panicked and left the cars, and now they're all everywhere. In the book, it's like everyone got a cold and stopped going to work, and then all of a sudden, people just stopped going outside, and then he's just the only one who goes outside, and that's how it transitions. Yeah, well, it's mad because there's a bit where, like...
He's gone.
Shaking my head at that.
But that's the thing. It's like it starts out as just kind of like, oh, everyone's got a flu. Everyone's just taking some time off work because they're a bit, ill. And then it transitions into people start only going out at night, and it then just transitions to him being the only one who goes out in the day, and that's why he's alone. And I think that's much better. Like it's all the cars are parked in the street, and all the shops are closed. Just with the back soon, bit ill kind of thing on them, it's a whole different thing. And I'm talking about the book again, when I'm meant to be talking about the film.
Yeah.
But the film, because it doesn't do things like that, it doesn't take those things over. And I think it would have been nice if it does. Like Sam, you were saying, if this film was more stuff about him, and more stuff about him just being crazy on his own.
Yeah.
I think if the film did stuff like it does in the book, it would have been a bit better. But that's just because I'm biased because I love the book so much. So as the film, I'm going to stop talking about the book. So I'm going to give it 7 as my whole point because I like the film. It's good. I've got nostalgia for it, but the book's better. So it's going to lower the thing down. So
fair dues. I'm going to give it an 8, upping my score because, I cannot believe how, specifically for the version I watched, I think it's an 8. I think, the start of this movie is one of the best post-apocalyptic movies ever made. It's absolutely stellar for the first, 3/4 of it. It reminds me of so many other things that, say Fallout 4 is taken from this. Just the image of, the lone wanderer with dog meat. This is the sort of thing The Division wishes it could be, you know? But yeah, it's a shame because I remember thinking so many good things about like even just the opening montage of quiet, car, gun, and then chase with all the animals. It was like every time it was cutting, the new shot was just, it was always really well framed. You were always being delivered some new information about New York, Robert, Sam. You were always getting something new, and I was like, oh fuck, this is gonna be a good movie. And it just, the more and more it goes on, the less it does that. But it does take a while for it to get going. So yeah, I'm gonna stand by 8. I'm gonna be mostly positive about the alternate version.
Wait, so right, so
I can't grade a film I've not seen, and I've technically not seen the original one. You know.
Wait, before you found out the actual ending is so terrible, what were you originally going to say?
I was honestly going to give it a 6
the...
because I thought the back end was disappointing enough to knock off quite a lot of points. And
fair.
So you added more points on because the alternative was worse.
Yes.
Okay.
I couldn't. But like, if it was only a little bit worse, I probably would have stuck by it and said, well, this is what I thought of the movie that I saw. But it was so much worse, and I think it makes parts that I already found good either worse or redundant. So, you know, I have to up it for being at least more fucking consistent. Which gives it an overall score of 67.5 out of 100, which means I have to ask everyone one by one. Amelia, do you prefer I Am Legend or Shin Godzilla? I mean, you didn't even finish Shin Godzilla, did you?
No. I love Godzilla, but if I had to sit down and rewatch one, I'd probably rewatch I Am Legend, just because I appreciate the film and the artistry of it, but it wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, so I'd have to go for I Am Legend.
1 point for I Am Legend. Jacob?
I think I'm going to go with Shin Godzilla.
Shin Godzilla,
it was
tied.
It was so different to something I'd watched before, and it was something you actually had to watch.
Yeah.
To like fully appreciate it. I'll admit, watching this one, it was over a lot quicker than I thought it was, and I watched it quite late with my housemates after a couple of rounds at the pub, and I honestly might have drifted off in parts of it. Like the dog funeral, I don't think I was awake for that. I'll be honest. So yeah.
I mean, it's like 2 minutes. It's like a minute of thinking. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I think I just sort of nodded off, as I always seem to fucking do, apparently. I'm tired all the time. But yeah, no, Godzilla I think is better for me.
Joe?
I'm going to say I Am Legend.
I Am Legend.
I'm not... Yeah.
Has this left us at
So, well, I was actually going to tie it. I wanted to say Shin Godzilla because I thought that both of them are similar in the way that what they are doing is some of the finest versions of their particular genres. But I think Shin Godzilla continues to peak the more it goes on, whereas I Am Legend dips. But I'm not hosting this one. It goes to Joe, and you picked I Am Legend, which means it's going over it anyway. So that puts it at the 11th greatest movie of all time.
Well done.
Just in the top 10. And that brings us to the most important part of the show, and that's finding out what we're going to be watching next week. And I've not done the usual of forgetting about whose fucking turn it is. I've actually had this one in mind for quite some time. It was one of the first films that I thought, it's something I've not watched, but it was like, this show would be a good fucking excuse to watch this movie. So I want to watch Pan's Labyrinth.
Okay, I've never seen that.
I've not
I've
seen
also
it.
not seen this.
Oh, excellent.
Oh,
okay,
None of us have seen
Let's
it.
do
Very exciting.
Very good.
Do
Okay.
you know what? It's one of these. I love Guillermo del Toro, but I have not seen this movie. Put him on the map so much so that I bought the Blu-ray in preparation for this show, and when I opened up the case, you have so it says Pan's Labyrinth along the bottom, right? Just like here. And then it says Guillermo del Toro in massive fucking text at the top. It's amazing. So yeah, I love the guy, and I can't wait to see what what sort of kicked it all off in the first place. Okay, so thanks very much for watching, everyone. Let us know what you thought of I Am Legend in the comments down below. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. You can find us all over social media. Search for The Real Outtakes on Twitter and Instagram. And also, if you want to continue watching the show but you don't have time to sit down on YouTube, you can now start to find us on podcasting sites like Spotify and Anchor, and we'll update you when we find out when we're on more. So, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.